So Social Security uses a 5-step process to decide every single case. The fancy term is called 5-step sequential evaluation, but really it just means 5 steps. And so the first step is, are you working? And so work for Social Security is a specialized word, believe it or not. And really it's about substantial gainful activity. So if you're working above a certain income level on a monthly basis, you will not qualify for disability when you initially apply. And so that number, that income level changes every year. And so in 2022, the amount of money that you can earn up to is $1,350. If it's more than that, then you cannot qualify for disability. If it's less than that, then you can go on to step 2. So at step 2, Social Security wants to know whether you have a severe medical or mental problem. And so severe problem has to be decided by whether, first of all, you have a medical diagnosis, and it has to be, the medical diagnosis has to be from a medically determinable process with doctors or psychologists. And once that is established, then they have to look at whether that medical problem is going to last or be expected to last for a continuous period of 12 months. That's called the durational period. So if it's going to last less than 12 months, even though it's severe, you cannot get disability for that. But you can have several problems, and they will look at all those problems at the same time. So it just doesn't have to be one problem. It can be a number of different problems, but they all have to last or be expected to last for a continuous period of 12 months. And you can't link it. You can't say, well, the first problem is going to last 6 months, the next is going to be 3 months, and the next is 3 months. And so, that's 12 months, and it doesn't work that way. It has to be, each problem has to last for a continuous period of 12 months. And so if you have a severe problem, then they move on to step 3. And so at step 3, Social Security has set out a list. It's called the listings because the commissioner created a list of medical and mental problems, which in his opinion, if you have those problems to the severe standard set forth in each of those regulations, then you can get disability. It's called presumptive disability. So the first thing is your medical or mental problem has to be on the list. And not all problems are on the list. What happens is that the commissioner has decided that some problems are not going to be on the list. For example, a lot of people are disabled because of fibromyalgia, but fibromyalgia is not on the list. So you'll never win at step 3. Similarly, migraine headaches. A ton of people have migraine headaches, and it causes them to be disabled because of the frequency and severity of the headaches. But migraine headaches are not on the list. So if your problem is on the list and it meets the severity requirement, then you will be presumptively disabled and you will win your case at that level. If not, then you move on to the next step. But before you get to the next step, the commissioner and the judge or the claims advisor for Social Security at whatever level you're at will decide about what your functional capacity is. And what simply that means is, what are you able to do despite your severe mental and physical problems? How long can you stand? How long can you sit? How far you can walk? How much you can lift? Can you get along with others? Can you remember simple instructions? Can you remember complex instructions? Can you complete a normal work day and work week without interruption from psychologically based symptoms? It goes on and on. So there's a lot of different factors that they put into that functional analysis. But once they come up with a functional analysis, then at step 4, what they decide is, will that person who has this limited functional capacity, will that person be able to do his or her past relevant work? And so past relevant work is work you've done in the last 15 years. And so if you're able to still do your work despite your limited functional capacity, you won't get disability. It'll stop right there. But if you can't do your work because your functional capacity is so decreased, then they go to the last step, and that's step 5. And so at step 5, what they look at is whether that functional capacity will allow you to do work at any job that exists in the national economy. So I think it's important to remember that when they talk about whether you can return to your past relevant work or whether you can do any other kind of work, it's not whether you're going to be hired, because that's really unemployment. What they're looking for is they assume or pretend you're going to be hired back in your job or in another job. Then they want to know is, okay, now you got the job, can you perform that job, or are you not going to be able to perform that job because of your functional limitations? So that's how Social Security decides each and every case.